You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
Hello, bear with me. Oh, this is all a bit rushed. Kate, I know you're there. Don't go away, Kate. Can you hear me, Mother? I'm here.
I can hear you.
Oh, my God. Well, good evening, everybody. This is something new we're trying. This is the post-match reaction. And my reaction we were fucking shit in that first half again.
Do you think? Oh, I didn't think that. No, I didn't at all. I thought we were, obviously, Woot tested us again with his, maybe he just fancies testing Mads in goal every so often to make sure he's still awake, but Woot had his usual calamity, which is becoming too regular for my liking. And then, yeah, I thought we did all right first half. I thought we grew into it. I thought it was a really silly free kick to give away. I didn't think it was a foul at first, but by all accounts it was. And then we just went to sleep for those two runners on the free kick, which was really frustrating. But the second half, I mean, they didn't get a look in, and the only look in they got was the goal that they got. So, yeah, took a lot of heart from it, though. Lots of positives from that, to be sure.
Yeah, look, I blame one person for that, and that's Cooper. I mean, I can blame the players as well, but to go with three defensive midfielders at home, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I suppose he just thought that they'd be a bit more attacking and threatening than they actually were. But yeah, I would have 100% started Buona not. Because I just don't think Wilfried's got it cut out for him.
Indeed, he did. Indeed,
I'm not driving that.
Did indeed he do anything to change your mind? Because he did nothing to change mine.
Yeah, I just don't think Will's got it cut out for him. But look, he made some subs. I was quite happy with his subs. Yeah, I thought it was a good performance. It's a massive improvement from the week before.
But Kate, we can't keep playing for just 45 minutes. Can we?
More than okay. Sort my audio out, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, you guys. All right. Just saying, we can't keep playing for 45 minutes.
No, we can't keep playing for 45 minutes. I know what you mean, but I felt we played longer than that today, personally. I thought first half we were okay. They didn't offer a great deal. I expected a bit more from them, to be honest. But yeah, I think we did better. I think we did do better. I would like to start more attacking. That is for sure. But I think we had a good game today overall. I mean, I don't think it was like a Spurs Spurs game of 2 halves. I think it was much better than that.
No. I mean, excuse me. Do you know what my highlight of the game was?
What? What's that?
It's a highlighter.
Right.
That's my highlight.
When it's that,
when you have to explain, when you have to explain. Look, it's the Premier League again. We were playing a top 4 side, a Champions League side, but I just think that second half, we should have won it really. If Vardy, remember, I mean, obviously he's 37, his mind's going, he can't remember how to play offside. So surely, we could have won that. But to start in as a defensive mode as we are, we need to practice those long balls over the top, because all we're doing is making passes to their goalkeeper. And Vardy needs to go to the library and get a book out on the offside rule.
There's always 2 sides to offside, though, Chris, as to whether the attacker moves too soon or whether the person passing plays it too late. And often it's the latter with us. They're not quick enough. But yeah,
I know. I take that. No, I take that totally. But the thing is, he has been our worst player for getting offside this season.
Yeah, but there's been 3 games and he's our only attacker.
Well, so that's he's also our most experienced player. Can I just say, you're not driving.
On the line, isn't he? That's my devil's advocate. He has to hang on the line because he needs a couple of yards to try and get past people now he's getting older. So he's going to be hanging on the line. Sometimes it's really frustrating, don't get me wrong. There is that side of the offside where you think, oh my God, you must be able to see you're stood offside there. But similarly, sometimes the balls aren't played through quick enough. But I didn't like him playing Wilfred at all. I thought the Wilfred thing added too much defensive nature for me. And if he plays like that against Everton and Bournemouth, he starts with that team, that's silly. We've got to be way more attacking.
Well, I've got to say, hopefully you're not just moving because you've left your handbrake off. And
I'm not driving.
And hopefully you're not driving either. That's a little bit worrying. I know women can multitask, but that's a little bit dangerous.
It's fine.
Picking a donkey of the game out again, on that first half, I had, 4 or 5 down. And I'm sorry to keep coming back to this, Ndidi, but how the hell did he stay on? Skip was our best midfielder.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how he stayed on, to be honest. It baffles me a lot that you've got someone like Ricardo that can play that role, but in a much more succinct way. Will's ball control is terrible. I thought he did well today intercepting. I thought he had a much better game than he has do the previous 2 games. But yeah, for me, I just don't get it. We've got options now on the bench to fill those kind of forward positions, and Will's just a reserve. Like, try it in the cup if you want, but it's not what you do in the league for me.
I've got to say, your man of the match, please.
It's going to be Harry Winks. I thought he was great today.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you because you were at the match and you obviously see a lot more than I do. So fair play. And your team rating?
Team rating, I'm probably going to go a 7. I think. I thought
overall, I wouldn't agree with the 7. I've got to be honest with you. I don't know who I'd get. I've got to say, when he came on, I thought Buenete did well.
Yeah. Skip had a great game.
Sorry?
Skip had a great game.
Skip, yeah. For me, it was either probably Skip, and I thought Christensen had a very good game as well.
We've just been saying that the only person who had quite a crap game, really, outside of Fass's calamity, was probably Fatawu, because he just wasn't in it enough. He wasn't really doing anything. He was getting marked out a bit, marked out the game a bit. But I thought Coley played really well. I thought some of his efforts were really valiant, to be honest.
Yes. Well, look, thank you very much. If you want to come back on when you get home, feel free. Brad's coming on in a second. But do feel free. Have a safe journey home. Say hello to your driver. Hope you're going to give him I hope you're going to give him a tip when you get home.
Will do.
All right. All the best,
Okay.
Kate. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Ah, there's Kate. Bless her. Right, let me just go through some... let me just Brad will join us in a minute. He's just eating. I just put up there, if you'd like to come on for 2 minutes, you must be able to put your camera on. You must be respectful, but the link is there. So if you want to come on, do so. But like I say, you've got to keep it clean. Well, the odd swear word, of course, we all do. But do you know what I mean? Don't get personal. Keep it clean, and you must be prepared to put your camera on. So Brad will be with us in a moment, and it is amazing, isn't it? I mean, I've not had Alan's scores through yet. I don't think. No, I've not had Alan's through yet. We'll just get a few comments, and then we'll bring Brad in here. Need to be braver and go more attacking in the lineup. Game changed when Mavididi came on. Totally. Mavididi needs to start 100%. We can see that. And all right, I don't want to hear, and I've not heard Cooper's post-match, but I don't want to hear him saying, well, I got it wrong. Well, you got it fucking wrong against Spurs. You admitted that. Get it right. Don't just come out and say, I got it wrong. Do something about it. Am I a bit quiet? I don't know if can everybody hear me? I know that I must admit, Kate was a bit quiet there. Play with one CDM, play two creative lad. Yeah, 100% easy, 100%. Ray, I like the fight in the boys. These next two fixtures will tell the tale. We need a minimum of 4 points. In fact, we have to beat Everton full stop. Look, we do. Villa are in the Champions League, so... you know, doesn't mean diddly squat. We should still have we should not have given them as much respect as we did. 3 CDMs is too many, totally. Just got back from the match. Well done, Thunder. Thanks for popping in. Let's know your thoughts. You were there. If you want to come on, look, the link's in the chat. Winks and Skip just aren't connecting enough. Kate is right. Not sure about what? Not saying she wasn't, because it's all about opinions. Indeed, he has his mind somewhere else. Indeed, he's struggling. Please play Ricky P. Agree. Indeed, he was Bambi on ice today. It was a good atmosphere around the ground, but unfortunately, we lost. Having said that, I think Villa fans played the part. Vardy got no service. 4 more likely, said Turbivate. And there's the link. Considering he wants a move, Pace was very good. Does he want to move? Mike, good afternoon, mate. How are you? We need to beat Palace and Everton. Yes, we so do. In a 4-3-3, you only need a quick DM, more than one DM. In a 2-man midfield, just slows it down, and the creativity. Totally couldn't agree more. I'm sure that this gentleman, I mean, I know he's got a lot to say because we started to say it on the end of the other show. Brad, go for it, mate. I mean, I'm just absolutely pissed off. Cooper got it wrong from the start. His fault. And I don't want to hear him coming out and saying I got it wrong because he said that against Spurs. You get it wrong, you put it right. And he hasn't put it right today for me.
Wow. I mean...
Or might be unfair to him.
I don't think you're being too unfair. Because he was very, very passive. Can I understand him wanting at least 2 central defensive midfielders in there to shore up the first half? Yeah, I can. Villa are a good side, and they proved that pretty much until we scored. Let's be honest. So can I understand us having 3 central defensive midfielders and no outlet in that first half? No, I can't. It baffled me, it worried me. Can I understand why we're playing a 32-year-old striker out on the wing when our best left winger is sat on the bench? No, can't fathom it, can't understand it. And that's not a dig at Jordan Ayew, by the way, who did everything we got told he would get from him at Crystal Palace, won his free kicks, but his effectiveness on the ball was nullified by playing in the wrong position. Have we learned our mistakes that we got away with in the Championship and it cost us in the Premier League by pressing around with it at the back? No, we still haven't. Should it take until the 60th minute when we're 2-0 down for him to make attacking changes and really go at the game and have Villa on the back foot and nearly nick a very, very unlikely draw? No, it shouldn't. But it took 50-odd minutes against Tottenham for us to do that. And we were lucky it was only 1-0 and that's why we got the point. We never, ever did that against Fulham. Can't really comment on the cup game, let's be honest. That's a different style of play altogether, different opposition, different levels. But again, I said, Chris, we cannot keep coming in at half time going, well, we didn't play well, but we're only 1-0 down. Let's see how the second half goes. Because are we planning to stay up on 1 point? Is that
minus 11 technically, won't
well,
it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So are we hoping that somehow 4 teams get deducted points and we stay up with that point against Tottenham? Because right now, Chris, the most vital point, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but 5 games into Leicester's season, with the circumstances that are await us, Chris, the next 2 games, anything less than 6 points, put an R next to our name. We won't get the points enough to keep us afloat or keep us in the mix for survival if we are getting 1-0 draws against Tottenham, losing 2 or 3 on the bounce, scraping a draw at Everton and Crystal Palace. We can't have 3 points on the bastard board before we play Arsenal. We'll get absolutely fisted left, right and centre by them. We need wins. I'm all for a great second half performance that gives you a little bit of confidence. But I tell you what, and I'm going to say this tongue in cheek, but there's a little part of me that kind of hopes it does happen. If I see Jordan Ayew on the wing against Crystal Palace in 2 weeks' time, right, and I see 3 defensive central midfielders and Bonete and Canoes nowhere near the starting lineup, I want someone to jump on the pitch and chin him. We might as well have Brendan Rodgers back in charge of this if that's a sort of ineptitude decision making he's going to make. Because if he cannot see that Mavididi and Bonete need to be starting week in, week out, mate. These might be bent out of shape, but I think I'm seeing things a lot clearer than you are. I've never called a manager an arse clown so much in all my life since Rodgers was in charge. And I'm right in thinking we weren't all that bad under Rodgers. You know, maybe we just bring him back for 3 seasons and learn from our last mistake and sack him after 3. I don't know, because I'm just, you know what I've seen as well. I'm not going to say whose, but there's some channels out there saying they're happy with what they've seen, but ruled errors. What, you're happy with a manager leaving it too late to make substitutions? You are happy for a manager to leave it too late to change things up? You was happy to leave. You were happy with seeing us wait until the 65th minute to give it a go. I ain't happy with that. I'm pissed off. Because if anything, Chris, them changes, them attacking changes, God forbid we actually put attackers on the pitch, just showed what we're actually capable of. We weren't attacking against Spurs, Chris. They didn't have an answer for us. We had Villa on the back foot that they took a substitute off who was a substitute because they wanted a defensive player on to make sure we didn't get a point. Swear to God, if he starts with the same team that started this weekend, I'm done with him. I'll be on Luke's side. I want him out. I don't want this clown managing us if this is his decision making. Because if he had a brain cell, he wouldn't have enough to blow his bloody brains. He wouldn't have enough to blow his nose if his brain was made of dynamite.
So basically, what you're saying is you're not happy.
I was being subtle, wasn't I? I think I disguised it quite well. No, I'm not.
Quite well. Is that the word? Is it?
Well, good news and bad news. Good news is Manchester City have scored 2 goals. Bad news is one of them's an own goal.
Yeah, just seen that literally come up then.
But I mean, positives aside from the Leicester game, Everton bottled a 2-0 lead inside 7 minutes. Wolves drew. Ipswich drew. We played well for 30 minutes. Yeah, there's my talking points, mate. Good show. Thank you very much, everyone.
I mean, look, you can't start. And look, I'm not getting on this Cooper out or anything like that. It's way too early, and that has been just being completely and utterly stupid. But are we not in a position where he needs to look at himself and he needs to look at how he starts these games? All right, they're a Champions League club. They finished fourth. They're probably going to do well this season, but we can't. We've still got to go on the attack at these. We're at home, for God's sake.
Yeah, shouldn't take us to the 65th minute to go on the attack. I'm sorry, but if he can't see Chris, I'm angry right now, and as you may be able to tell, I'm trying to hide it really well. But right, if he's sitting there too busy worrying about what we're doing wrong and not seeing what we're doing right, and not using that as a go, I don't know what he's doing as a manager, because I would be going, simplest solution to what we did wrong in most of that game to what we did right is maybe start with the right players on the pitch. Let's not put a 32-year-old on the wing. Let's put Mavididi, who's a winger. Let's not play three central defensive midfielders and let them control the ball away from home and absolutely dictate the play. And Wayne, if he can't figure it out, then he's not the right man for the job. I'm sorry, he's not. You're managing a Premier League club. You've been managing long enough. You figured it out with a feeding of 5,000 at Forest. How can you not be figuring it out when you've got 25 players to pick from? If he cannot see in 2 second-half performances that the best way for Leicester to go out and do anything well this season is to be aggressive, get in the face, and get at them, then I don't know what else he's going to take. Because 2 semi-decent second-half performances, Chris. One got us a point. The other one nearly earned us another one today. Both playing attacking football.
Yeah, I just do not understand it. I want to have a go at Vardy, and everybody's going to start going mad at me. But Kate doesn't agree with me. But should he not be able to understand the offside rule by now?
Yeah, but I will say that it was one of them calls that half a second difference made between him being on and offside of his turn to being onside. If it had been stood in no man's hand, 3-4 yards offside, I 100% agree. And sometimes he is, and they do wind me up. I don't understand how strikers don't know the meaning of the word offside. This situation, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because it is literally, Chris, half a second split difference decision making from the pass or the move by Vardy in delaying his run half a second or the pass coming through half a second earlier. It's a penalty because the referee gave it initially.
Yeah,
he did give the penalty.
He did.
But I do understand where you're coming from because there is occasions where he's been offside that I think, how long you been in the game, mate, and you still can't keep yourself onside?
Yes, yeah. Look, guys, the idea of this show is to get you on and get your thoughts. So what I'm going to do now is if you want to say anything, click the link, come in, you'll get a couple of minutes on and we'll have get your view across. I'm not going to sort of start bringing the chats up now from the chat. If you want to come on, the link's there from earlier. Click that and then you can come on. Right, let me. Can I ask you a question, Brad?
You can. That would be a very boring show if you never asked me anything.
Well, this is true. There you go.
It's too soon to panic, but if we keep seeing the same starting 11 every time, pretty much, then we need to start worrying because if I will start to worry if we go into Arsenal game and the Tottenham result is the only point we have on the board. That's when I'll worry. I'm not worried yet because I hope he's going to sit there and be like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Why am I not playing? This team's strength's clearly attacking. Right, against Palace and Everton, we're changing now. I'm not putting Ayew on the wing. Put him up front. Haven't got an issue with him being on the pitch. This isn't one of them like I'm saying Ayew shit and then I use that. I use a striker. He's 32. He's not a winger. So put him up front. I'm not panicking yet, but I will be panicking and I will be worried if we play the next 2 games the way we played the first 60 minutes of this one, Chris, because we will get beat by both of them and then you might as well relegate us.
Yeah, indeed. Look, I'm going to ask you this. Your man of the match.
Surprisingly, there's actually a few contenders, and I can guarantee you there's only one starting player that's in the contention because the rest are all substitutes. Should you be giving a man of the match performance to Mavididi for 30 minutes of football? Well, probably not on a normal given day, but let's face it, the game came alive and so did the crowd and the tempo when he was on the pitch. I'm torn between 2. And the only reason I'm torn between 2 is because I like the fact that Mavididi changed the game, gave us more impetus on the side that we consider to attack down the most.
Yeah.
But for me, my other choice is a Madsen, because that was the first time he's had to perform in a game where if he didn't make 10, 11 saves, we would have lost that game 5 or 6-1.
Yeah.
I am going to give it Mavididi, though. I think
Mavididi. Wayne, good evening, sir.
Hi, Chris.
How are you doing?
All right, thanks. How are you?
Well, I've been happier. You may be able to guess. Look, you're in the chat. I presume. Did you watch the game? Were you able to watch the game?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I mean, look. Look, let me ask you that question. Should we be worried, or is it too soon to panic?
I think it's too soon to panic. I think we played for the Spurs, who are going for Champions League, Fulham, who are a very settled side, and Villa, who are in the Champions League. So we've had a lot of changes. A lot of the young lads have gone out. It's been a lot to sort out. And I think he's trying things. Do I think it's slightly more defensive than I would like? Yes. Indeed, Winks and Skip just weren't forward-minded enough to connect through the wings to Varda. But when the subs came on, fantastic.
It did, but I think, do you not feel that, like, well, you know, you've got to be able to look at that, like for the Spurs game, and go, why did we play so well when we did that? And look, I was happy with Cooper. It was one of the ones I wanted in, so I'm not going to say he should be gone or anything like that. That would just be bloody ridiculous. But he's got to start learning from this, hasn't he? Sorry, that was to you, Wayne. Sorry.
Oh, so I've got 2 voices going on here. I don't know.
Have you got 2 mics or anything?
Can you hear me now?
I can still hear you, yes. Have you got it on YouTube? You need to mute YouTube.
Yeah, I might. I probably have, so let me just go somewhere else.
That's my trick, usually. That's my trick.
That's it. Yeah, sorry, Chris, I missed the question there.
I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, I mean, we can't keep saying, like, well, we need to learn from this, we need to learn from that if we're not learning. It's too soon to get to talk about Cooper not being here. He's got to be given the time. I still think he's the right man. That, to me, was an away setup, an away performance in that first half. We can't be doing that when we're at home, can we?
No, I agree. I just think maybe Cooper's been worried that we don't get thumped. And, you know, because we've got a lot of young lads, you've got to be careful. I think he's still finding out who can play where. I was disappointed in Alves not being in the squad.
Yeah.
and he wasn't even in the. But I think we've got plenty of attacking options. It's just whether Cooper, I agree with Brad, will Cooper adjust and see what's working and then implement it? Because I think we're points deduction apart. I think we're definitely mid-table side. We've got a lot of tenacity, youth, and cleverness on the ball. Yeah.
But do you think though, Keith? And now I'll let you go after this. I mean, I know what you're saying. You know, we've played Spurs, we've played Villa, we've had Fulham, we've got Palace coming up, and Everton coming up. That's not. That wasn't a bad start. When we looked at this right at the start of the season, we're thinking, well, that's not a bad, opening few games. Yes, Villa and Spurs are okay, but they can be beaten. But if we're not beating them, and every club, apart from Southampton and Ipswich, you could argue that every club is an established, Premier League team. These are the games. I mean, don't get me wrong. If that was a performance against Man City or Arsenal, I'd be saying fine. We did well, but it's against these teams that we've got to go for it.
Yeah, and I think after the Spurs game, what Kate said, they were definitely beatable, and we did start too slow. And I agree with what Brad's saying, and other people said that we did start too slow today. But I do think Wink, Skip, and indeed are too slow. I think if Ricky P was in there with them, the first half would have been different. And like a lot of fans, I am surprised that Ricky P isn't getting in somehow.
Definitely. Wayne, I'll let you. Thank you very much for popping on, mate. There's
Cheers,
no game
show,
next
Chris.
weekend,
Cheers, bud.
but thanks for coming on and take care. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Right, let me just bring this back to main bad. Thanks very much to Wayne. That's all you got to do, guys. Click on the link, and then we'll get you on, and then you can have your thoughts. Is Brad still with us?
I am, mate. Yeah, sorry. I'm
brilliant.
Signal issue, so I'm just trying to keep the camera off for a minute so it bounces.
No, that's all right, mate. That's all right.
Likewise.
So you've gone for Mavadidi. What about a team performance?
It's hard. Can I give 2 ratings, Chris?
No.
Hear me out first before.
Okay, I'll hear you out.
You can reject the notion completely, which you probably will. For the defensive Leicester, I'm going to give a big fat 0. For the Leicester that played from 60 odd minutes onwards when we made all the changes, I'm going to give an 8. So if you want to kind of meet in the middle and give them a 5 or a 6, go for it. But we saw 2 versions of Leicester play. So for me, Chris, I suppose it is a 6 because at least I saw the true Leicester in the last 30 minutes of the game. So at least for a good quarter of the match, Leicester actually turned up. But that first 60 minutes, Chris, was horrendous to watch. So a 6 to meet in the middle. But if you want to give anti-Leicester and proper Leicester, you've got a 0 and an 8 to go with.
No, I see where you come on, but we can't keep saying, "Oh, it's a game of 2 halves. It's a game of 2 halves." Yeah, it fucking is, but we've got to play both halves. We can't keep playing one half, and we can't keep letting the other team get an advance, get ahead, get a goal, and then we decide, "Oh, we better start playing now."
Exactly, and again, Chris. I agree with what Wayne's saying to a degree. Look at the quality of the teams we're up against. 2 Champions League, 1 Champions League side, a very good European side, always qualifying for Europe, all the side, a settled side like Fulham. It wasn't going to be easy, but you felt we could have snuffled out 3 points maybe from it all, And for the second time at home, Chris, when we got on the front foot, when we went attacking at them, when we got at both Tottenham and Villa, funny enough, we scored our only goal of the game, but they did not have an answer for us. Granted, a world-class challenge by Okalai. Yeah, all them doubters about Okalai, he had a good game. I think he was in a little bit of contention for a poor team's performance until that that last quarter of the game, Chris, he was my man of the match because at least he was putting in challenges. But you're right, Chris. If we cannot keep doing this week in, week out, otherwise that's the only point we're going to get this whole entire season, and that'll get taken off us by deductions. For me, Chris, we need to, and I understand what Wayne was saying, be a bit more cautious against these harder sides, but I'd rather see us lose a game, a ding-dong game 4-2, knowing it was end-to-end, we had chances, and on a better day, this might have, and sit here going, oh, well, fuck me, if the attackers didn't come on, we would have lost 4-5-0 because we never looked like scoring until it happened. Yeah, you know what I mean, Chris? When you say you can take losing as long as they play well, if we'd have had a 90-minute performance of what we saw in that last half an hour and still lost the game, I'd probably be sat here quite, not chuffed because we lost the game, but you know what I mean, Chris? I'd be sat here going, well, there's a lot of positives. Can't say that really because I shouldn't be saying it about 30 minutes of football.
No. Thunder, you're at the game. Do you want to come on, Thunder? You can see the link. The link's in the chat. I'll repost it if you want, Thunder. But you're at the game, so it would be great to have you on and let us know your thoughts. You do see a lot more than we do watching it here on the screen. Look, we can't say that we're playing a Champions League team. We're playing a European team. Yes, they are, but we played that European team off the park for 45 minutes. We've just played a Champions League team off the park for 35 minutes. So if we can do that, why can't we do it for extended games? And then, we should, maybe get some points.
Exactly, Chris, and that's probably the most infuriating thing about it, because the 45 minutes against Spurs and the 35 minutes against Villa have proven that if we have a go at teams, they don't like it. They want.
They don't like it up them, do they?
No, they don't. They don't know, Chris. And we sat here at the end of the Spurs game, and a lot of people here joined in and were saying the same thing. Was Spurs didn't have an answer for us over 45 minutes. The second the tide turned in that game, it was they didn't have an answer. And Villa again today, once we got a foothold back in the game and had a bit of a chance, you would have thought that Villa were desperately holding on, and we were the Champions League side because they took a substitute off.
Wasn't he injured though? Wasn't he injured?
Well, maybe he was. Maybe he was a little bit, but he didn't look happy with Emre's decision making. So obviously he didn't feel he was injured enough. But they went defensive, Chris. They threw another body into their back line. They look like the team that had just caused the banana skin upset. Not Leicester, and Leicester were a Champions League, not the other way round.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean between the difference between not panicking yet, but I will get worried, because if we do the same against Palace and Everton, like I said, we'll be cut adrift.
Yeah, that is my worry. Look, possession-wise, and when I know it's not all about possession, but we had 57%. We had 9 shots to their 10. We had 3 on target to their 5. We had 5 off target to their 3. This was a game, and I know that as bad as the first half was, but this was a game we were always in. We actually had 16 touches. That's more than the last 2 games put together. 16 touches in their box. But there's so many messages I was getting, like, "Oh, is Vardy playing? Is Vardy? How many times has Vardy touched the ball? Is Ayew playing? Is then somebody's gone for Ayew as the man of the match?" I will disagree with that politely, but. And this is it. There were so many, not just Vardy, not just A, but there was players there that you're thinking, are they on the pitch? Because they went missing for long times.
Yeah, they did, and I still was starting to worry if Skip and Winks had got confused and thought they were still playing for Tottenham Hotspur or trying to help Villa out, because they were awful as well, Chris. They were barely on the ball, and when they did have it, they didn't do a lot right with it. But that first, again, if you're trying to pick positives out, the first half was complete opposite to the second half, and it was good that it was opposite. You know, the second half was opposite to it because it couldn't got any worse than the first half. I would honestly say, Chris, and I know we had some terrible games the last time we were in the Premier League, but the result flattered us at half time because we could have quite easily been absolutely smashed out the park. If it wasn't for a very clever nudge on Justin and a great save by Madsen, and followed by Madsen making a couple more saves, we will be, Chris. You know, we kind of had a giggle about Wolves against Chelsea, 6-2. That's going to happen to us. That is going to happen to us if we keep doing that. And I tell you what, we won't be as Arsenal might do it to us, Chris, and they won't be so kind as Chelsea as to give us 2 goals. 9-0 will be on the lookout if we do that. It really will. We need to book our ideas up, and I stand by what I say, Chris. If against Crystal Palace, right, and maybe start Eye up front, bit of fire in the belly, wind the crowd up. Fine, I get that, but play him up front. If Mavididi isn't on the wing, get this manager out. Get him out, because Stevie Wonder probably doesn't follow football and is blind, in case you didn't know, but him in charge could see and do a better job than what Cooper's done today. Because like you say, Chris, Champions League or not, we're at home, get at them. Because they clearly couldn't handle Leicester going forward.
No, you're right. Now look, I'm really having it hard to find a man of the match. I've got to be honest with you. You gave it to Mavididi, didn't you? Who had 23 minutes on the pitch. I'm tempted to give it to somebody who had 22 minutes on the pitch. I was very impressed with Buenetti again when he came on.
Yeah. Again, like I said, Chris, there was only 1, maybe 2 players in contention from the starting 11 that I'd even considered for man of the match. The rest were all the subs that came on, to be honest with you.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything. I can see you've loaded up the options below of Alan's man of the match. He's the other one, Chris, that I maybe would have considered for it had the changes not been made. But again, Chris, either one of them is a good shout for a man of the match performance.
If I hadn't given it to Buenete, if I had to give it to somebody who had been on from the start, I would have probably given it to Christensen.
I think he had a very good game. I agree with you, Chris. You know, people might not like Ricardo being overlooked, but if that's the case, we need to find out if Christensen can do a job on the left, because JJ is leaving a lot to be desired, I'm afraid, out the 2 of them, because you're not dropping Christensen the way he's playing. I would be picking Christensen and Ricardo all day long right now.
I didn't think... I mean, James Justin had a better game than he did against Fulham, but it doesn't convince me on the right. You know, I can remember the last live match that I went to see, if you like, was Southampton. He was on the right there. He'd just come back from injury and he wasn't very good. And I thought, well, I did criticise him, but then as somebody said, well, he's only just come back from injury. That's a fair point. I'm sorry, James, I love you to bits, but you're the one that's got to go. You're the one that's got to go. Anybody else want to come in on, please? You've still got loads of time yet to come on. The link is there. I can put it back in again, but please do come on. Talk to me and Brad. We're feeling lonely, aren't we, Brad?
We are so very lonely after that game.
Lonely, we are so lonely.
I mean, if you want another positive, Chris, I'd love to go and watch an Everton fan right now speak about their game.
Yes.
And also, may I say, this might make you feel better. Not much better, by the way. But as it stands right now, unless the Man City result has changed at all, well, you've got the most points out of me, you and Jeff. That's the good news for you. The bad news is you've got 2 points and I've got 1 point. And my only point comes from Bournemouth.
Oh, for fuck's sake. What are we win. Oh,
Yeah, and you know the worst thing is, Chris, my point comes from the game that I made a U-turn on in the chat, because I originally was going to go 1-0 Everton, weren't I? And I went 2-1 Bournemouth, so it's the only reason I've got a point at all.
Well, I was getting rather excited when Everton were ahead, because I think I went for Everton, didn't I? And but look,
you did, sir. You did. You went 2-1 Everton. So on 86 minutes, you were doing backflips. By 87 minutes, you were cursing them, and by 92 minutes, you wanted to punch someone in the face.
Exactly. But look, so
Although
you
saying that, no update. As it stands right now, you have 3 points. I have 2 points because Man City are ahead 2-1 at half time. Haaland's just scored.
That is so embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, although it'd be more embarrassing.
As I'm beating Wayne, who's keeping me off the bottom alphabetically.
Yeah,
but look,
I mean, the only thing you want now is you need Man City to score 2 more goals, and I just need 1 more, and then that would really take the biscuit for our week, wouldn't it?
It would, yes, yeah, and they're probably going to go and get another 4 to make it 5-1. Look, you went Mavadidi 6, I went Buenete 6 brackets Christensen close brackets. Kate went for Winks and get a
Not Wilfred Ndidi. Is she feeling okay?
Well, I didn't think Winks was that brilliant, if I'm honest.
Yeah, hold on. You know what, Chris? If me and Kate ever disagree on a player, and I say one's good and she says he's not that good, and she's just picked Winks of her man of the match, I think she's in love with Winks. I think she's got a man crush on Winks because he was crap today. He was terrible.
Whoa.
Well, no, honestly, he was. Him and Skip, and even Ndidi, I don't mind for all 3 of them had an awful game. I don't know how all 3 of them stayed on the pitch as long as they did. I don't think he was up to much at all. Winks.
Well, I'm just going to message Katie now and go, Brad just says Winks shit today. Are you going to stand for that?
Don't we'll start another argument war, and then you'll have to put us both in the naughty corner.
I'll try to get it back on. But look, okay. Man of the match. As you know, Alan Bennett, love him to bits. He goes to every single game, home and away, bless him. And it is different when you, and I did so when Kate said Winks, and I said, well, you do see the game differently when you're there live, don't you? Which I think showed her that I didn't agree with her. But you can see it, but like I say, he has gone for a Coley, who didn't have a bad game. And I know I was criticising him at the start, but I don't think he was man of the match. But fair play to him, he got it off Alan.
He did. I mean, to be fair, he was definitely in contention for it. And like I say, Chris, had we never made them changes, I probably would have given it him or Hermadsen. They were my 2 standout players from the team. That's I say finish. He did come off at the end, didn't he? When Cooper seemingly went for broke, still went for broke about 5 minutes too late, but he did go for broke, didn't he? He took him off and went with McAteer on. But for me, I think he had a steady game. Made a couple of vital blocks. I would love to see that first goal back again, because I don't know how many players potentially take the blame for that free kick getting played in there and going in. Although saying that, the most fairest challenge of the day got a yellow card and led to a goal. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, isn't it?
For me, looking at the goal, and I could be wrong here, but I think Justin was one of them, because he should not have had as much space as he did. He was between 2 Leicester players.
Yeah, and I think his move inadvertently left Alan's man of the match out of position, because he didn't then know whether to close him down and try and stop the cross or stand in his position to not allow him to shoot. So it was just a mess. But like I said, if you really want to clutch at straws, and he deserves to never ref again. He was awful for both sides, to be fair. He got called an anchor with a W in front of it. By both sets of fans. He was told he didn't know what he was doing by both sets of fans. And I think he got so flustered that he just blew his whistle and booked everybody just to try and appease them, and it just made things worse. because I stand by what I say. If you can make a good challenge, sliding challenge, and you get the ball cleanly, it should not matter what direction you slide in from, whether it's front, behind, left, or right. As long as it's a clean challenge, it's not a free kick. And I said this, Chris, and we always say this about these sort of things. If that was done on a Leicester player, I'd be looking at going, we've got that. We got away with that one because I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. And this is what he gave for the team performance. Look, Kate gave 7, you gave 6, I gave 6 over the 2 halves. 7 from Alan. Him and Kate were there. Yes. I
will admit.
I can't argue with that, really, over the 2 halves.
No, and I will admit it's not the team's fault that they were so bad, because the manager set them up wrong. I've got a feeling you're going to ask me. I don't know if we're going to go through ratings, but
no, we're going to do that Monday night on the review show.
Well, be prepared for no higher than probably a 3 for Mr. Manager. Let's just put it that way. Don't get your scorecards out, Chris, for having to shuffle through. You can stand at the low end of the deck when we do that for a few of them.
Higher, lower. Dan, who's a Nottingham Forest fan, says stick with Cooper. I've said to him, come on and tell us why. I don't know if he can or not, but you'd be welcome on, Dan. Please, somebody come on and tell us what they thought. Come on, somebody do a Wayne. Wayne was very brave and came on and said, we don't mind. Look, you can disagree. Come on and disagree with us. We're not experts. We're just fans and football's opinions. And, we want to hear your opinions. But, we've got to stick with Cooper. It's too early. Look, I just want to go through these highlights. How indeed he was the one that stayed on in that central defensive midfield role, God knows. If he starts against, who is it next? Crystal Palace in 2 weeks. I don't know what. He's got a new contract. Very decent of him to sign it, but then again, you could say that maybe he waited to see who manager was going to be. But indeed, I'm sorry, he can't start. Wink's not playing well. You made the point at the start, didn't you? I think it might have been at half time. Maybe he's just too good for the Championship, but not good enough for the Premier League, Brad.
Yeah, and I'm not going to disagree with you about Ndidi. However, I am going to say this. Ndidi spent however long he was on the pitch for, he spent it playing out of position. He wasn't in his position that we know and trust him to do, which is central defensive midfield. So for me, unless he's going to play him there against Crystal Palace, I agree, Chris. I don't want to see him in the starting 11 if you're not going to play these players in their right position, because for all the stick he's suddenly getting, and I know today is a poor performance from him, but it's a poor performance throughout the middle of the park, if I'm being perfectly honest, Chris. I just don't understand why this turncoat, like almost wrestler heel style heats come towards Ndidi, because he hasn't been bad. Today he was, but he was playing as a number 10. The bloke probably doesn't even know what a number 10 is supposed to do, because he was running all over the place. He didn't seem to know why he was.
Last season.
Championship, it's a bit easier for him to get away with making 3 mistakes and still keeping over the ball. You make 1 mistake in the Premier League, and let's face it, he wasn't brilliant in that position. He didn't, so I'm just worried that if that's the best option we have to start from what our 3 defensive midfielding options, when you've got a receding hairline 33-year-old looking 23-year-old, what an investment he is, eh? Ollie Skip, definitely worth the 20 million plus add-ons. Yeah, great. God.
liked him. I thought he was the best of the three defensive midfielders. You there, Brad? Are you there?
No. I'm trying to just be nice, Chris, and not say anything.
Wayne's agreeing with you. Who wants to see Matthew come on drunk? He's at a brewery in Chechnya. I think we had a few too many. Doesn't matter. Come on, you probably talk more sense than the pair of us, and we're sober.
Speak for yourself, Chris. You can't see it because my camera's playing up, but I'm drinking a can of Carling.
Well, that's what following Leicester does for you, isn't it?
I was teetotal before this game.
Dermavate, I'm going to come back to your comment because it's a good one. I want to take Brad up on it. I've got here, where have I got it? I've lost it now. After 37 minutes, I said we've got 57% possession, but we're doing fuck all with it.
Yeah, sounds like Southampton because they've lost all their opening games, Chris, with 50+% possession. So if you want to see two examples of two sides proving possession means fuck all, go and watch Leicester and Southampton play. You have to stop ours after 60 minutes because we actually start playing really well with it. But go and watch Southampton play and you'll realise that's the reason, that it doesn't do anything. It's just... I'd rather us have 40% possession throughout 90 minutes and have the chances we had in that last half hour than 55% of fuck all, mate.
Yeah.
Your notes are very more trustworthy than you are, and you write them.
I don't know whether that's a compliment or a criticism.
It's like that. It's like that. What do they call it with the work thing where you got to make a sandwich. You got to give an insult and a compliment to balance it out. It's like a critique, isn't it, or someone's appraisal sandwich or whatever they call it.
Oh, a bullshit sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find if I can see what Cooper's been saying here. But look, I've got to say, all this criticism of Ndidi, and today he was no worse than anybody else. Let me just say that. Whilst I'm criticising Ndidi, on this game he was no worse than anybody else, and he did get up as an assist for the goal.
See, there you go, man of the match.
I never said that.
No, but again, Chris, on paper, you're right. It will go down as a Wilfred Ndidi assist for the goal. But the two people we discussed of our man of match, the goal doesn't happen if they're not on the pitch. Yes. Because, the biggest problem that was pointed out by the commentators on the stream, I was watching it. We talked about it at half time. People in the comments were saying pretty much the same thing. Leicester's tactics in the first half were baffling because they were so far back in their own half. They could, like an away performance, as you said, Chris, because they got the ball, and when they tried to spring a trap, Vardy was at 20 yards inside their half and nobody was near him. So we couldn't, you know what I mean? We had no outlet, and it's just, oh, dear. It's just, I don't get it.
Steve Cooper felt Leicester deserved something from the game as Leicester City fell to a first home defeat of the season at the hands of Aston Villa. Coming away empty-handed for the second week in a row, Cooper wasn't too disheartened despite feeling hard done by the end result. It's a really tough one to take, he began. We'll never accept defeat and we'll be disappointed. There is a feeling that it was the wrong result today. We've got to own the free kick and how we concede the first goal. But it's never a free kick, and that really changed the momentum of the game. It may well have done, but we shouldn't have been in that position, should we?
No, we shouldn't have. We really shouldn't have. Because that's like saying if the referee doesn't get it, doesn't deflect it and stop it, we could have been 1-1. But that goal that got ruled out prior to their second goal. If ands and buts don't get your result, mate, and they certainly don't make coconuts, as people would like to suggest to say, you can't go saying, I hate it when managers say, oh yeah, well it was never this, it was never what it was because it was given. Well, you know, whether we think, whether 32,000 sat in the stand thought it was, the most important idiot in the room, I mean, the most important man in the room thought it was.
Yeah.
And the professionalism of the players need to wrap that round their heads as well, Chris, because it's probably a collective blame for the first goal because they're too busy arguing and shouting at the ref and at each other that they're not switched on for them to play it. Because that's where Villa saw it. Villa kind of looked, went, they're not concentrating properly here. Sod shooting.
Mm.
Yeah, oh look, we've scored. And that's exactly where the goal came from. You know, it wasn't some genius training ground routine. It was, hold on a minute, the referee says we can take this, and they're not looking, they're not concentrating, they're still busy arguing with each other and giving a toss about why it was given. Let's try this, and it worked out for them, and they've got to wise up to the cleverness of the Premier League because it's a different level to the Championship, and lots of players say that about the step up is something unreal, and these players, some of them should know better, Chris.
Well, I'm going to say there's quite a few of them were with us when we were in the Premier League.
Yeah,
and Ayew was a Premier League player, Skip was a Premier League player, Buenetti was a Premier League player, and they're the new ones that have come in.
As well.
Without saying like Winks and Ndidi and Vardy, of course. You know, they're all James Justin, Christensen. I mean, it's virtually a Premier League team.
Well, yeah, it is, and even with the new additions that never played in the Premier League, they've already shown, you know, what they're going to be capable of for us this season in the small matches, you know, amounts we've seen them in. Buenetti's got his first goal for the club, a great finish to react to the ball in the box. Mavididi, obviously, he's not a new player, but you know, he's shown what he can do. So the idea is there, Chris. It just needs to, you know, it just needs to be got right from the off. We can't get to half time and be like, oops, got that wrong. Oh well, we'll fix it this half. Because we'll keep getting more results like this.
I think it's Tervaveit's comment, isn't it? No, yeah, Tervaveit's comment. Will Eduardo be the new Ujoa?
No, because Ujoa scored more goals. He will be the new Shinji Okazaki, I'm hoping, if he's going to be anything. Might not score many goals because Okazaki didn't. He rarely scored. I don't even think he hit double figures for us, but he was a nuisance. He held the ball up. He played the ball through to Vardy and got himself probably more assists than we actually remember him getting. That's what we're going to need from anybody who plays alongside or just behind Vardy. I honestly think, and I'm going to be brutally honest here, I think Edouard has more chance of being the new Jeffrey Schlupp than we do a half-decent striker out of him. You know my opinions on this, Chris. You know my thoughts on the fact that Daka's more, you know, more of a threat to in front of goal than Edouard. And that doesn't bode well when you look at the stats, Chris, does it? From reading the stats of what I told you yesterday, you know, I want him to be good now he's wearing a Leicester shirt, and I want him to go and have like a 13-goal season, 15-goal season, and be one of the big reasons behind us staying up. But I've also put the lottery on in the hopes that I'm going to win the jackpot. The odds are about the same, I'm afraid.
Yes, yeah. All right. Look, we'll wrap this up. We've been at it an hour now. We need to go. I need to go and get a drink and drown my sorrows. Brad, we'll be back on. Sorry?
That's what my ex said once. We've been at it an hour. I need to go and have a drink and drown my sorrows.
An hour?
Oh, no, she said, I wish you would an hour. But sorry. Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, okay. No. Look, we'll be back Monday night. We'll do a proper review of the game rather than just a criticism, which this has been disappointing. Look, what we're going to get for the next two games. We've got a week off now for the the international break, which is very exciting. And then we've got Palace away and Everton at home.
I'm hoping that whilst you want to work on what we got wrong, I'm hoping that his backroom staff will go up to him with that tablet of that recorded the game, because that's what they do now. It's all the latest fashions. You don't just get a VHS tape. You get a tablet to show you what happened. I hope that Steve Cooper's having a meeting with his backroom staff about, right, what do we need to tweak to get it right? And they go, here's the last 30 minutes. Watch that. Give that a watch, and maybe trust the lads to be a bit more aggressive and go at them. Because I do stand by this, Chris. If we get anything less than 6 points in our next 2 games, bearing in mind I'm taking into account the points deduction is going to be 6, 8, 10 points, then you might as well write us off and have us in the championship.
Yeah.
Because if you cannot get the point, it's all well and good saying Champions League side, Europa League side, got a point out of one, lost to the other, that's fair enough. That's all well and good. But if you're not beating the teams like Palace and teams like Everton that are, well, they must feel just as bad as we do, if not worse, especially with how late they threw it away. I remember a certain Villa team were 2-0 up against a certain team in blue and lost 3-2, and they got relegated, Chris, because they never felt safe winning a game. I'm not saying history repeats itself, but I wouldn't mind it if it did. But we've got to make sure we come out of them next 2 games fighting and get in their faces and go and beat them.
Indeed. 4 points is the minimum out of those 2 games, I think. But we will see. Brad, thanks very much, mate. At Full-Time Focus on X, do get over there and give Brad a follow. And I will see you at 7 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah, see you then, guys. See you then.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody. See you later, Chris.
Thanks very much for coming on. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks to Brad there, and we will see you at 7. Like the video. I don't know whether we'll be doing this again or we'll take it back into being part of the watch along. We'll see how we go. But thank you very much. Thank you very much to Brad, and thank you very much for Kate for coming on as well. I'll see you all Monday when we'll be dissecting this, and Brad will be giving us his tactical response. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and click that notification bell. It does help the channel. We'll see you Monday at 7. This has been LTID TV. I've been Chris. I will be back. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.